China just dropped a shockwave on the R-vee industry, a fully loaded 2026 motorhome for under 12 grand. And the reaction is pure chaos. Dealers say it can't be real. Analysts insist the numbers don't add up. But footage from Guangdong shows rows of finished units rolling out right now, all for less than a beat-up used bike. But here's the real twist. These rigs aren't prototypes. They're already staged for export, quietly, cheaply, and way ahead of schedule. And what happens when they hit Western markets will directly affect your wallet in a way nobody's talking about yet. The headline that broke the math. No one saw it coming. While Western manufacturers fight to justify six-figure R-vee price tags, China just rolled out a fully equipped, road-ready motorhome for under $12,000. Not as a stripped-down concept, but as a finished, functional product already shipping out of Guangdong. The announcement hit industry boards like a shockwave. Within hours, dealers and analysts began comparing spec sheets that shouldn't have been possible: solar panels, lithium batteries, and a complete living suite for the price of a used sedan. Auction leaks from domestic listings confirmed the figure, around 82,600 yuan. For perspective, that's less than the cost of a base model dirt bike in the United States. Yet the shock wasn't just the price, it was the precision. Every part, from the welded chassis to the modular kitchen, looked production-ready. Nothing about it said prototype. And as those first photos surfaced, one question began to spread faster than the headline itself. Who's paying the difference? Because that price doesn't just break records, it breaks logic. Proof on the ground. Guangdong's secret rollout. At first, people thought it was fake. But by late autumn, footage began circulating from Guangdong's industrial belt, showing rows of white, compact motorhomes lined up for inspection. Each bore the same logo, DLE Motor Technology. The camera panned across shipping containers, marked for European and Southeast Asian ports, with export manifests listing each unit at roughly 82,600 yuan, still under 12,000 US dollars, even after logistics. A few local dealers quietly confirmed delivery orders tied to what they called a pilot mobility batch. These weren't show props. They were production models, road certified, and fully assembled with interiors that included sleeping pods, kitchenettes, and solar modules. Yet something didn't add up. Official government filings showed no matching subsidy line for such a low-cost build. Somewhere, invisible funding was bridging the gap. Someone was covering part of the cost, and that discovery would reveal the real engine driving China's sudden entry into the global motorhome race. Before we go deeper into how this $12,000 motorhome could flip the global market, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more breakdowns like this one. Share your thoughts below. Do you think this move changes everything? The cost nobody explained. To understand how a motorhome can sell below $15,000, we have to unpack what usually drives prices up. In Western factories, labor can reach 35% of the total build cost. In China, the average hourly manufacturing wage sits below $3.50, dropping that segment to under 10%. Material sourcing is also centralized. Aluminum, steel, and composite plastics are procured domestically with minimal import fees. DLE's production design uses modular parts shared with existing delivery vans, eliminating retooling costs. Yet even with these efficiencies, the numbers still fall short of explaining the final price. That's where local incentives enter the picture. Internal records reviewed by a regional business journal show DLE receiving tax offsets through an industrial development plan launched in 2023. It rewards companies producing energy-adaptive vehicles, a term broad enough to include any design using partial solar systems. If the subsidy covers 20 to 25% of total cost, that alone could explain the gap. Still, this means the company isn't operating for profit, but for expansion. Every sale may be a data point, not a transaction, a test for a larger rollout. Because if they're not profiting, what's the real motive? Inside DLE Motor Technology's playbook, DLE Motor Technology, headquartered in Guangdong Province, has been building specialty travel vehicles since 2016. Its founder, Liang Dewei, once served as an engineer for a major electric van supplier before launching the company with support from a provincial innovation fund. Early models focused on electric minibuses. But by 2021, DLE pivoted toward mobile living units, a fusion of smart home technology and compact transportation. The strategy aimed to capture China's growing urban nomad demographic, younger professionals priced out of major cities, but eager for mobility and self-sufficiency. Behind that public image, however, sits a deeper financial network. Corporate filings show DLE receiving energy efficiency grants from China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. Funds typically reserved for infrastructure projects, not consumer vehicles. One filing lists DLE under a joint initiative with a solar grid development program, suggesting the company's vehicles double as mobile energy nodes. This would explain the government's unusual support during distribution. The motorhome may be less about recreation and more about testing decentralized power systems. What looks like an affordable R-vee might, in fact, be a pilot for a broader mobility ecosystem, one connecting vehicles, housing, and renewable energy grids. And those grants weren't for vehicles. They were for something far bigger, built like a van, priced like a scooter. What DLE Motor Technology built was not a ground-up luxury R-vee, but a repurposed workhorse. The base of the $12,000 motorhome rests on the same chassis used in its light commercial vans. This single design decision eliminated nearly 40% of tooling costs. By reusing proven frames, DLE bypassed crash testing cycles, suspension redesign, and supplier contracts that normally take years to complete. Instead, it converted an existing delivery platform into a livable shell, simple, efficient, and far cheaper to assemble. Each vehicle uses an engine block shared with the Eco-Daily, a diesel powertrain rated at around 176 horsepower. The transmission, braking system, and much of the wiring harness are identical to the commercial variant. That commonality means bulk ordering, one production line, and fewer specialized technicians. Supply chain consolidation accounts for roughly 60% of the total cost reduction compared with Western manufacturers. The company essentially turned industrial hardware into domestic mobility. To the untrained eye, this looks like innovation. In truth, it's aggressive cost engineering, a factory-wide experiment in squeezing every cent from shared infrastructure. But the part they saved most on isn't under the hood. It's in the code, the power source that costs nothing. At the center of DLE's affordability promise lies its hybrid energy setup. The rooftop hosts solar panels generating about 400 watts of power under optimal sunlight. The energy flows into a lithium-ion storage bank with a usable capacity of roughly 12 kilowatt hours. On paper, that's enough to operate lighting, refrigeration, ventilation, and the digital interface for nearly 2 full days without external charging. It allows the motorhome to camp off-grid, avoiding the need for expensive generator refills or hookups. The system includes an automatic switch that blends solar input with diesel generator output. If sunlight drops below a preset threshold, the onboard generator kicks in, maintaining battery stability. This design gives buyers the impression of near energy independence, which explains DLE's marketing slogan, "Park anywhere, power anywhere." The cost advantage is substantial because it replaces long-term fuel consumption with front-loaded hardware. Yet, engineers reviewing teardown footage noticed something unusual. The solar cells use cheaper composite layers, known to degrade faster in humid conditions. If those panels lose efficiency within 2 years, the savings vanish in replacements. But there's a hidden catch in those cells that could turn savings into a long-term risk when the home starts thinking for itself. Inside every DLE motorhome sits a full digital management system, the same technology that turns a van into a smart home on wheels. The interface connects to a mobile app, allowing the owner to control air conditioning, lights, and water systems remotely. It also monitors energy use, temperature, and motion inside the cabin. Voice recognition lets users issue basic commands such as lower the lights or start the generator. What's less discussed is where that data goes. Privacy analysts who examined the software found cloud-linked identifiers transmitting anonymous usage logs to a DLE data server. The official explanation: performance optimization. However, the metadata includes travel routes, duration of stay, and environmental conditions, information valuable to advertisers, insurers, or local service partners. The low purchase price suddenly looks like a trade-off. The company can monetize data long after the sale, transforming hardware into a continuous revenue stream. That means this motorhome might not just be learning how you drive or sleep. It could be learning how you live and who you are as a consumer. If your vehicle learns you, it might also sell you comfort or compromise. The reality inside. Step inside the DLE motorhome And the first impression is efficiency, disguised as comfort. The interior panels are molded from lightweight composites, designed to mimic wood. The floor is a laminate overlay glued to an aluminum subframe worth roughly $2,300 in material value. The outer shell uses a fiberglass blend costing about $4,200 per unit, half of what Western equivalents spend on insulated composites. Every hinge, latch, and fixture feels serviceable but minimal. Space utilization is clever. The bed folds into the wall, the table collapses into a workstation, and the kitchen compresses into a single counter. Yet beneath the clean design lies relentless cost-cutting. The plumbing relies on thinner tubing, the wiring bundles are unshielded, and the insulation layer is noticeably sparse. A single air conditioning vent controls the entire rear section, saving on ductwork but limiting comfort in extreme weather. From a distance, it appears sleek and modern. Up close, it reveals the reality of its price, a home built for function, not endurance. This isn't just a cheaper design, it's a cheaper standard. The panic in the Western showrooms. When the first Chinese listing surfaced, Western R-vee dealers dismissed them as prototypes, but once verified import data confirmed full production units selling for under $12,000. Panic spread fast. In markets like the United States and Germany, where the average compact motorhome costs over $70,000, the math sent shockwaves through sales floors. Within a single quarter, resale values for used Class B vans fell by as much as 28%. Models like the Winnebago Solus and the Thor Sequence, once stable resale performers, saw dealers cutting prices just to move stock. Lot managers across multiple states began holding quiet emergency meetings. Some dealerships offered unlisted rebates to longtime customers just to keep sales moving, while others froze incoming orders altogether, waiting for new pricing guidance. Word spread fast, and buyers started comparing numbers online. Forums filled with angry posts asking if Western brands had been inflating prices for years. It was no longer just competition, it was exposure. Every inflated invoice, every hidden dealer fee now looked deliberate. The illusion of stability cracked overnight. A market that once felt untouchable was suddenly outpriced and outmaneuvered by a manufacturer most Western consumers hadn't even heard of. And the panic was only beginning, and one more shipment could push it even lower. The old giants fight back. BYD, Winnebago, and Thor were not about to watch their margins evaporate. Internal memos leaked to industry analysts revealed coordinated pricing adjustments across multiple markets. BYD reportedly pulled forward a new electric van project and slashed its prototype cost projection by 15%. Winnebago introduced an incentive program offering rebates up to $10,000 on outgoing 2025 inventory. Thor, meanwhile, began quietly discounting its dealer floor plan rates, allowing local sellers to advertise markdowns without appearing desperate. Behind the scenes, financial departments scrambled to absorb the hit. For companies operating on 5 to 7% net margins, these emergency cuts represented a direct threat to profitability. Manufacturers started bundling service contracts and financing options just to keep the monthly payment competitive with DLE's total purchase price. Yet these defensive moves only deepened pressure on smaller independent builders who lacked capital to follow suit. The result was a domino effect: falling prices, shrinking margins, and a creeping realization that the age of comfortable markups might be ending. When giants start cutting profits this deep, collapse isn't theory, it's schedule. If you've stayed with us this far, you already see where this story is heading. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next update when these units start landing overseas and the prices around you begin to shift fast. The import illusion. On paper, a $12,000 Chinese motorhome sounds like a dream deal. In practice, importing one tells a different story. Shipping from Shanghai or Shenzhen to the US West Coast cost roughly $2,400 per unit by sea. Add destination charges, customs fees, and inland transport, and the landed cost reaches around $15,000. Then comes compliance. Vehicles must pass emissions, safety, and electrical standards, which can require retrofitting. Certification alone can run between $2,000 and $3,000, depending on inspection complexity. Add import taxes, port storage, and broker fees, and the real price hovers near $19,000 to $20,000. Still impressive, but no longer miraculous. Buyers also face warranty uncertainty. Chinese domestic warranties rarely extend overseas, meaning any failure could become a personal expense. Insurance companies have yet to classify these vehicles for Western coverage databases, which adds another layer of cost. For now, importers rely on temporary tags and custom policies, creating a gray market ecosystem that only the bold or the reckless enter. That $12,000 deal now floats closer to $20,000, but still half the Western price. The freedom pitch that hit a nerve. Even with the fine print, the appeal is undeniable. Across North America and Europe, financial strain has reshaped how people think about home ownership. Inflation keeps rising, rents stretch budgets, and retirement savings fall behind pace. The idea of owning a mobile home, one that costs less than a used pickup truck, feels liberating. The DLE Motorhome taps into that desire directly. Its ads show couples parked by rivers, retirees overlooking mountain ranges, and young travelers turning parking lots into living rooms. It's a message that resonates: freedom without debt, movement without limits. But beneath that emotion lies a carefully designed campaign. Every image, every tagline, and every off-grid promise reframes mobility as a lifestyle upgrade instead of a financial compromise. The reality is far more complicated. For some, it offers independence. For others, it signals risk: scarce replacement parts, uncertain resale value, and software-linked systems that may fail once support ends. Even so, in an economy where ownership feels heavier each year, the idea of living light carries power. People aren't just buying vehicles anymore, they're buying an escape plan disguised as freedom, and the demand is only getting louder. But freedom this cheap always has fine print, and it's written in small characters. When homes and vehicles collide, China's new mobility model is blurring the line between vehicle manufacturing and housing development. Government planners are openly describing compact motorhomes as dynamic housing units, a term once reserved for emergency response or remote work projects. In cities like Shenzhen and Guangdong, pilot programs now allow approved vehicles to connect directly to municipal power grids. It's not simply about travel anymore. It's about redefining affordable living. The DLE Motorhome is part of that broader strategy. By merging vehicle ownership with domestic utility access, China effectively expands its housing capacity without constructing new buildings. Urban density is forcing families to rethink what home means. As property prices climb beyond reach, compact motorhomes are turning into portable real estate, taxed less, regulated lightly, and fueled by renewable energy. This shift gives governments like China's a powerful incentive to back companies such as DLE, not only as vehicle makers, but as partners in solving housing pressure. A home on wheels fits policy goals: lower urban heights, or congestion, greener infrastructure, and affordable living in one package. If this framework spreads internationally, Western lenders may face a new and unsettling question. What happens when consumers stop financing fixed mortgages and start financing motion instead? And what happens when that model reaches Western lenders? The global ripple through jobs and prices. The economic impact is already visible. When one country can produce a functioning motorhome for 1/5 the Western cost, the ripple effect reaches every corner of the supply chain. Domestic suppliers that once thrived on specialized components, cabinetry, chassis parts, climate systems, are losing contracts to offshore producers offering bulk packages at half the cost. Analysts estimate that within 2 years, Western component exports to Asia will fall by nearly 30%. For manufacturing jobs, the picture is equally stark. Each imported unit sold in Europe or America displaces several weeks of labor that would otherwise stay local. As factories downsize, dealerships feel the second blow: inventory depreciation. Mid-tier used rigs, particularly those priced between $50,000 and $100,000, are expected to slide by roughly 20% in value over the next 12 months. That means anyone holding financed R-vees may soon owe more than the vehicle is worth. Industry veterans call it the silent correction, and it's moving faster than most realize. That slide has already begun. How to stay ahead of the curve. There is still a way to protect your money in this shifting market, but it requires patience and timing. Right now, dealerships are caught between shrinking demand and aging stock. That means the best deals will not appear during the initial panic. They will surface once the next shipment cycle arrives. The key is to hold cash until after the first quarter of 2026. By that time, import logistics will stabilize, and manufacturers desperate to move unsold 2025 models will cut deeper than before. If you are already in the market for a used rig, Focus on depreciation math and timing rather than excitement. Avoid new units with untested electronics or unverified import status. Early adopters often pay for problems that others learn from. Instead, look for reliable platforms built before 2022. Their depreciation curve has flattened and replacement parts remain accessible. Always analyze the total cost of ownership, not just the advertised discount. Insurance, maintenance intervals, and parts availability will ultimately determine whether a vehicle saves or drains your savings. Check service histories, prioritize mechanical simplicity, and verify that warranties can transfer legally across states. Remember, in a market driven by uncertainty, the smartest move isn't speed, it's preparation. Knowledge, timing, and patience will always outperform urgency. Those who wait for the next pricing reset are the ones positioned to buy low and stay liquid, because by spring, the price floor resets, the year everything started moving. In a way, this story is bigger than DLE or any single company. It's about how people respond when stability becomes unaffordable. Across the world, families are trading fixed addresses for flexible ones. Retirees who once dreamed of lakeside property now chase horizon lines. Young professionals skip mortgages altogether, choosing movement over permanence. The $12,000 Chinese motorhome didn't just challenge pricing, it challenged the definition of home itself. This new chapter in mobility marks a turning point, a quiet revolution, disguised as affordability. The same tools built to cut costs might end up rewriting how societies measure comfort, ownership, and even identity. Owning a home may soon mean owning motion, not land. And that idea alone threatens entire financial systems built on immobility. For many, it's not rebellion, it's survival. Rising costs and shrinking wages are forcing people to rethink what stability means. Yet within that shift lies opportunity, freedom for those willing to adapt early, and risk for those who ignore the trend. Economists will remember this moment as the year transportation and real estate collided and refused to separate again, creating a new class of citizen, the mobile homeowner. And from this point forward, the road itself becomes not just the journey, but the address. They called it innovation, but what it really offered was escape for those smart enough to see it coming. If this shocked you, let me know what you think in the comments. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over, and the next update could change everything you think you know about the R-vee market.